All right, the next part of finishing this bathroom is to do the ceiling and the walls before we can grout the shower. So we need to put up all the slats like we've done the rest of the bus on the ceiling and the walls, and then put a piece of edge trim around the shower tile. And then after that's all up, once that edge trim is in, then we'll be able to kind of grout up against that. That's why we're doing this part first. So we're not gonna talk a lot about this because you've seen us do this before with the kids' room and the kitchen and the front. We're just using the same 4-inch planks that we have chamfered on the edges to kind of give it that tongue and groove look that we've painted white. So we're gonna get started installing that on the ceiling and the walls, and we have lights to install as well as we go. So that's what we're working on today. right, one last little tiling project we're gonna do in here is we're gonna make a backsplash here for between the sink and the medicine cabinet. We're gonna use the same penny tile that we did in the shower, but one kind of difficult thing we have is we actually only have a teeny little bit of space right here behind the faucet. And so we can potentially reposition the faucet and turn this handle further out, but that would make the water come out like way over here on the side. We're trying to avoid doing that. So the problem then becomes we don't really have enough depth here to do the Curdy board plus the tile. That would end up hitting this knob right here. So what we're gonna try and do is use Muscle Bound, which is a really thin, it's like a 32nd, I think a 32nd of an inch thick, basically like almost like a big piece of double stick tape, but it's made for waterproofing. We have some that a friend gave us when they were done with their project, so we have a little bit of it. So we're gonna try using just that and then all you have to do is stick your tile on here, and then you can grout on top of it, and it is a waterproofing base. So we are gonna attempt to do that here. We have to remove the medicine cabinet so that we have some room to work, and then we're gonna get started just piecing that together.
All right, since we don't know anything about this stuff, what we decided to do was just a little test of this muscle bound stuff. So we got a little roll of it that our friends gave us, as Michelle mentioned, but it's pretty sticky. So it's literally like double stick tape. So it has a waxy seal, and anyway, we stuck it on this unfinished piece of plywood because that's the substrate we're going to use. And then so this acts as the waterproofing membrane and as the thing that you stick it to. So in essence, it replaces the thin set. You still have to grout it, so we're still going to grout this. But what we did was we cut a little piece, we stuck it down, and then we just pushed down. We took a piece of cardboard and then just or a piece of wood, and just kind of smashed it down so that because it's supposed to be pressure activated is what we'd read. And then these are individual tiles. So then we also took and just stuck individual tiles on there to see if it would hold. And then, we held it upside down and did that and kind of simulated like a bumpy road. And then, again, with just to make sure things aren't going to fall off. And it doesn't. Things are falling off the table, but nothing seems to be falling off of here. So I think we're going to give it a go. I mean, we could thin set it, but I think we're going to try this stuff, see how it works for us.
Okay, so we got all the slats put up on the ceiling and the wall. We got the lights installed and got those all hooked up and working, which is really nice to have light in here finally after all of this time. We caulked all of the grooves. While the caulk is paintable, but we have to wait 24 to 48 hours to paint that. So we also need to fill some of the little nail holes a little bit more. So while we're waiting for this, we're also waiting for the trim for the shower to show up. I think that's coming tomorrow. So while we're waiting for all of that, we're gonna address this wall. And so we're gonna wallpaper this wall, just like we've wallpapered in the kids' room, and we put some wallpaper in the kitchen area. And so now we're gonna wallpaper this wall. So first thing we're gonna do actually is remove the toilet. We probably should have done this before we tried slatting down here, but we worked around it. But we're gonna go ahead, we just dumped our tanks, so hopefully it won't be too stinky. We'll cover the hole, remove that, and we're gonna paint this to give us a nice surface for the wallpaper to adhere to. And then we're gonna get this wall all wallpapered up. And then hopefully by the time we're done with that, our trim will have arrived and we can trim out the shower, finish painting the grooves, and then start grouting the shower. Okay, so next we're gonna work on the trim for the shower. When we installed our ceiling, we had to use this Curdy V-board to get the waterproofing for the curved ceiling on our shower, and this is the thinnest material that V-board is made in, which is thicker than all of the rest of our walls and ceiling. So we knew we were gonna have to trim something, like use something to cover these edges. And we weren't quite sure what we could use that would allow us to contour this curve here. So what we found after looking at a lot of different options was this flexible molding. It feels kind of like rubber, but it has a grain of wood. It can be cut and treated almost like wood. You can cut it with miter saws and band saws, and you can paint it like wood, you can brad nail it, all of those things. Like, that's how you can install it, is with an adhesive and nails. And so it gives the look of wood, but it's actually like a fiberglass and resin, I don't know, some kind of real flexible material. And one of our problems was we needed to find something that could not bend like this, which there were some other things we found that maybe would bend like this, but we need it to bend like this. So that's what we're gonna be doing, is we're gonna be trimming out this shower with this flexible molding, and we have to install it and let it cure, and then we can grout, and then after we grout, then we can paint it. So one thing about this flexible trim that the instructions say is don't paint it until it's already installed, because otherwise you risk cracking your paint as you like bend and torque it. So we don't want to do that. So we will get this installed. We're going to put it all the way around. We're going to try and miter the edge, the corner right here. We did try a couple of different adhesives, and this is a mess. This was just our little test model. This is actually still not even cured. We just did this about 30 minutes ago. But we tried both our 3M 5200, which is a marine adhesive and sealant. We have a fast cure version of that, so that cures fairly quickly. And then we also tried a Loctite adhesive that's made for foam, because that's what we're adhering it to, is actually the foam on the Schluter V-board. So we're gonna try and use the 5200, we think, just because it cures faster, and that will allow us to move on to grouting more quickly. And then we will use just some tape to hold it in place, and also probably some nails to hold it in place. And then once that's all cured, you know, it's up and installed and we're happy with it, we'll let it dry, cure, and then we can go back and start our grouting. We got the first piece up, glued and nailed and taped up in there, and you can see how it kind of trims that out now. Okay, so we finished that second piece of trim. It's all in and nailed in and glued and taped. So now we just have to wait until tomorrow and see how that cured.